So we're looking at Revelation 12 as being the chronology or the story of how we're going to be caught up to God and to his throne, how the church is going to be raptured. This is in the book of Revelation. The particulars about how the church is caught up is in Revelation. It's in Revelation 12. All right. There are people who say, show me a verse that talks about the rapture of the church. This is the place that talks about the rapture of the church. This is the one that tells you the timing, it tells you the trigger events, and it tells you the sequence of events. So we're just going to be looking at this a little bit more. Hope you watched part 1 of this series, and we may have a part 3 after this one. So there's misunderstandings about Revelation, about the book. And one of them is that Revelation actually has some history in it. Okay, a lot of people, even people I respect really highly as Bible teachers, teach that Revelation chapters 2 and 3, for example, which are the letters to the 7 churches, are history, that it's teaches church history from, the time of the apostles up and through, present day churches. But I'm going to tell you that there is nothing in the book of Revelation itself that tells you that that's how we're supposed to look at these passages. And some people will say, yeah, but in Revelation chapter 1, doesn't Jesus tell John that he's to write the things that he's seen, the things which are and the things which he'll see later? And doesn't that mean that there's some things that are and that are going to be history, and there's things that he's going to see later? No, that isn't what that means. Jesus is just telling John, look, the things you just saw a few minutes ago, write that. The things that you're seeing right now, write about that. And the things that I'm going to show you as this progresses, write about that. I want you to write everything. Write it all down. He's not talking about an outline for how to understand the book. And that is a very Greek way of looking at things. And the book of Revelation is written in the Hebraic style. And what that means is we're looking at Revelation in terms of layers, which is how the Jewish way of thinking about things is. There's multiple layers of meaning, okay, even in the way they read their letters and words and all of that. In Greek thought, it's very linear. Okay, you start at one point, you end at another, you follow this logical, rational progression. And unfortunately, most of our Bible teachers are trained in the Greek style in seminaries and Bible schools, and that's how they learn to interpret the book. But Revelation is interpreted in an entirely different way. It's a book of visions. There's about 70 visions in the book of Revelation. They're loosely chronological, but every vision is its own thing. Every vision is like its independent little dream sequence, okay? And so there may be parts of each vision that start at the very beginning of the 7 years, and then there are parts of it that may be at the very end of the 7 years. So if you have a trumpet vision, for example, it may be that the first trumpet is blown at the beginning, but the 7th trumpet is actually at the end with the second coming of Christ. So every vision is its own independent little sequence, little dream sequence, okay, that can be layered upon, the other visions. So that's part of the problem, is that we view this book as having some kind of outline to it, and that it doesn't. It doesn't have an outline that is linear or rational or anything like that. So what it is imaginative. There's a lot of imagery and symbolism here that requires a more colorful, broad, layered way of looking at this. But it's not hard, okay? In the very first verse of Revelation, this is what Jesus says. This is the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants those things which must quickly take place. His servants are believers, and the things which will quickly take place are the events in Revelation, including the letters to the 7 churches, which are written to those people who are actually going to be alive during that period of time, during the persecution by the harlot, during the reign of the beast. There's going to be believers who are present, and the letters are written to them. We also find ourselves in this book, people who are believers right now, the 24 elders in Revelation. We start reading about them in Revelation chapters 4 and 5, and you'll see them in other places in the book. And these are pictured as a kingdom of priests, priest kings, and that is exactly what they're doing in terms of their actions in the book. They are interceding for the saints. They are acting as elders, people who can give John information. They are wearing golden crowns, so you know they'll be ruling and reigning. One of the interesting things, I think, is in Revelation chapter 14, verse 14, we see Jesus, one like a son of man, and he's about to reap that final group of believers and take them to heaven. And he's wearing a golden crown, and he looks like one of the 24 elders. So, or maybe we should say it another way. The 24 elders look like Christ. And this imagery is another way that we are to understand our identification with Christ. So Jesus gives us a clue about how to understand the book of Revelation. In Revelation chapter 1, Jesus says he's going to tell John the mystery of the 7 stars in his right hand and the 7 golden candlesticks. So this mystery, this is a secret that's being revealed to John, that the stars are angels and the 7 golden candlesticks are the 7 churches. And basically what Jesus is telling John is that, hint, hint, this book is going to be interpreted and understood via its symbolic imagery. So if that's true in Revelation chapter 1 with stars and candlesticks, and we can expect that the events that are symbolically portrayed will actually take place in the real world in the same kind of way that they've been portrayed in symbolism. So another one of the problems that we have in interpreting the visions of Revelation, especially in Revelation 12, is there are people who actually give credence to the Revelation 12 sign and really believe that that was fulfilled. Problem is that the rapture didn't happen. And the other problem is that people see Revelation 12 as one long vision. And really, it's 3 small ones. And in the first vision, where you have the Revelation 12 sign that takes place in the heavens, it's actually taking place in the starry heavens where the sun, moon, and stars are up in the universe there, where we can see these things happening. The next vision is actually a red dragon, and he takes his tail, he casts 1/3 of the stars to the earth, and he's standing before the woman who's about to bear a child. And what he wants to do is devour the child as soon as it's born. All right, so this is a second vision. Okay, this is like a different story. They're all connected in that the symbolism is the same, but it's a different story now. So what we're seeing is the dragon that we find out later is actually Satan. And we know that the woman is Israel. And the way we know that is the crown of 12 stars represents the 12 tribes. We know that the Messiah, who is here as the man-child, came from Israel. And later on in the chapter, we'll read about how the woman flees. And we know from other passages of Scripture, from Matthew 24, from Zechariah 13 and 14, and from other places, that there is a remnant of Israel that is going to be fleeing into the wilderness. So the woman is Israel, and that's pretty clear. So one of the problems with this vision then is people who hold that this must also be taking place in the starry heavens believe that we're going to see, some kind of meteor shower or something happen, and the great red dragon is, planet X or something like that, and we should be able to see this played out actually in the heavens, just the way we saw the Revelation 12 sign with the woman played out. But there are clues that indicate that this actually is taking place not in the starry heavens, but in that the stars which are cast from heaven, that's actually the place where God dwells, because the stars, we know, are angels, okay? And there are fallen angels that are actually in heaven right now, and that's where they live. So Satan is going to coerce his fallen angels, 1/3 of them, to come to earth with him, because he's right here standing before the woman, okay, which is Israel. And what he wants to do is to devour this child as soon as it's born. Satan wants to devour the child, and I believe that the child is us, okay? It's current, present day believers. And then it says that she brought forth a male child, a son, a male, huios arson, okay? This is the Greek word for the son who inherits, okay? And it is this son who rules all nations with a rod of iron. And of course, this is Christ. And anytime you see the Greek word huios in the book of Revelation, you're always talking about Jesus. Now, the word for child is teknon. That's a different word entirely, and it just means someone's child, a random child. It's not necessarily the child who inherits. It isn't a special child. But the way this is written is meant to distinguish between the two groups, or between Christ and a group of people who comprise his body, so that people will think of these two entities, Jesus and his church, as being one baby, okay? Or one child, one offspring. Christ is the one who's going to rule all nations with the rod of iron, and of course believers will do that with him. But Christ is not caught up to God and to his throne. It's the teknon. The child is caught up to God and to his throne. This is the word rapture, harpazo. So anyone who wants that verse, this is it right here. And in the context of this story, it's the child who is caught up to God and to his throne. God's throne room is in heaven, of course. And so the picture here is not about something taking place in the stars or in the constellations. What's happening here is happening in the spiritual realm around us and in the heavenly places. And then it says, as soon as the child was caught up, that the woman fled into the wilderness, where there is a place prepared for her for 1,260 days. Now, we know that this woman is the same woman that's at the end of Revelation chapter 12, after Satan is cast out of heaven and he pursues the woman who gave birth to the man-child. The woman, again, we see that she has a place to go to in the wilderness where she's taken care of. We know the woman is Israel. We know the man-child is Christ. We know the child are believers. And we know the dragon is Satan. So we're going to take a look at the sequence of events in the next video and what we are waiting for. So this is going to be the video you really want to watch, this third one. And I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll click like, and I hope you'll share this video with people you think might be interested. And we'll see you on the next video. Till then, have a very blessed day.